Shalom Aleichem, a good jar. Today we have a learning from Insights into the Torah by Rav Zalman Sorockin. So let's see what he's talking about today. This is Pashas Shoftim. Pashas Shoftim. 1 minute. Shoftim v'shotrim titein lecha b'chol she'arecha asher Hashem Elokecha nosein lecha l'shivvatecha v'shoftu esa'om mishpat tzedek. Judges and officers shall you appoint in your cities, which Hashem your God gives to you, for your tribes, and they shall judge the people with righteous judgment. Titein lecha b'chol she'arecha. Titein lecha b'chol she'arecha. Shall you appoint for yourself in all your cities. She'arecha literally means your gates. The word sha'ar means either a gate or the gateway it is set in. And from the gate of a city, it came to signify the city itself, as in the present verse. This is because a typical city in those days was surrounded by a wall with gates for access. But gateway here also indicates the place where the judges were to sit in each city. Every litigant knew to come, quote, to the elders of his city and the gateway of his place. Likewise, a man's sister-in-law shall ascend to the gate, to the elders, which is just where Boaz went in his time. This seems undemocratic. Should not the judge's place be in the center of the city, equally accessible to all? Two reasons present themselves for this. In other words, why shouldn't it be in the center of the city? Why at the gate of the city should the shoftim, the judges, be? That's the question. First, the beis din of a city served as its banner and insignia, a token that justice ruled there. Wayfarers who came upon a city in those days feared to enter its gates, lest the inhabitants prove villains or savages at whose hands they would come to grief. So the children of Israel, who were commanded over and over to love the stranger, placed their courts of justice in the gates of every city, so that every passerby might know that here he will find shelter and no harm will befall him, because justice prevails. Second, every action of the court, whether adjudication or execution of judgment, must be carried out in a public place in front of the multitudes, so as to educate the people to do everything according to law and judgment, and to follow the Torah's laws. As the Torah says, quote, all Israel will hear and be afraid, and no longer do this sort of evil in your midst. That's 13:12. That's Devarim. That's 13:12. Let's see. But that's Parak 13:12 and Pasuk 12, verse 12. The Torah therefore chose the city gateway for the judges' assembly, because everyone enters and leaves the city from there. So naturally, whatever transpires at that location will be public knowledge. It says here, titein lecha. Shoftim v'shotrim titein lecha. It will give to you. You should give for yourself. B'chol she'arecha asher Hashem Elokecha nosein lecha l'shivvatecha v'shoftu esa'om mishpat tzedek. Judges and officers shall you appoint in all your cities, and it says lecha, for you should appoint them for yourselves, which Hashem your God gives you, for your tribes, and they shall judge the people with righteousness and judgment. So anyway, it says titein lecha, shall you appoint for yourself. There is a story. So what does it mean for yourself? You should appoint a judge. There is a story about a great rabbi who was appointed to be the Rav of a prominent city. In those happier days, the Rav was chosen exclusively by the aldermen of the community and its president. When the Rav, in other words, it wasn't by the synagogue itself. Anyway, it was by the aldermen of this community and its president. When the Rav had been in the city only a few days, a beggar came up to him and demanded that the community president be summoned to the court, as he, the beggar, had a charge against him. The Rav immediately sent his bailiff to summon the president, but to his amazement, the president refused to come. The Rav sent the bailiff back with a warning, but the president ignored it. Then a third summons was sent, with the added warning that if the president did not immediately appear in court, he would be excommunicated. Suddenly the president stood up and called the alderman to him. Calling the alderman to him, and went to call on the Rav. Mazel tov, Rebbe, he cried. Today you have truly become the Rav of this town. You have proven that you will never show preference to anyone, not even to the community president who appointed you. Only then did the Rav realize that this whole business had been nothing but a test, to see whether or not he was a true judge before whom all were equal. In other words, everyone should be equal. Even the person appointing the judge should be subject, or the rabbi is subject to being judged. In other words, you don't say, "Oh, I'm a big shot. I appointed this judge. He will go easy on me, or he will not." Titain, shoftim, v'shotrim, titain lecha. Judges and officers shall you appoint lecha, to yourselves. Even you yourself, who are appointing, are subject to being judged, and there's no favorable judgment to everyone. Everyone is equal. This story can help explain the meaning of judges and officers shall you appoint for yourself. It is an injunction to all those whose task it is to appoint judges. Be sure to appoint someone who will be ready to judge you too, sternly and with no preferential treatment. For then we can hope that they shall judge the people with righteous judgment. So in other words, we should all be able to be judged fairly, and there shouldn't be any preferential judgment for anyone. When we're appointing a judge, the judge should be of the character to not give preferential judgment to anyone, whether the person is rich or famous. So this is here. Thank you very much. This is from Insights in the Torah, Devarim, and this is by Rabbi Zalman Sorockin. Insights in the Torah by Rabbi Zalman Sorockin. Thank you very much. Good to hear. Thank you.